Hello students. Student, we have started with a new chapter and that is the fundamental unit of life, cell. We have understood that why we call cell as a fundamental unit. And if we define cell, we used to define it by the definition that cell is the structural and functional unit of a life. You see that when we had started this chapter, we had also discussed that it is not necessary that all organism is made up of only one cell. Okay, we have understood that every organism is made up of a cell. So that is why we had defined it that it is the structural and functional unit of a living organism. So all the living organism is made up of a cell. Now it depends. With the organism, it varies the number of a cell also. If an organism like a archibacteria or a eubacteria is there, so if these kind of organisms, they are made up of only one cell, that is known as a unicellular cell. The meaning of a uni means single, cellular means cell. Means an organism made up of only one cell, that is a unicellular cell. Multicellular cell is an organism which is made up of more than one cell is called as a multicellular cell. We have seen what is the difference between a unicellular and multicellular. And the main thing that we have seen in case of the difference, okay, we have understood the number of a cell is more in multicellular and here only one is there. So if one cell is there, so all the activities will be performed by the same cell, and here the activities are divided into each of every cells, okay, or each group of a cell. Okay, so this is the basic difference between that of the unicellular to that of the multicellular organism. Then we have also tried to understand that how cell get discovered, how the discovery of the cell occur. So the first thing that we have written here is Robert Hooke. It is the Robert Hooke who has observed by working with a thin slice of a cork, he seen that cork consisting of a tiny compartment, and these compartments are in the shape of a honeycomb. Okay, so that it was an empty compartment. It is because the cell which he has taken was a cork and which is a bark only, considered to be the dead cell. Okay, so since he has observed the cell in the dead cell, and that is why I was not able to look that what are the things which is present inside the cell. So it seems like a small compartment, and since it was looking like a little room, he has given the name to this as cell. In Latin, cell means little room. Okay, so Robert Hooke was the first person who observed cell, and he has seen that of a thin slice of a cork. So he made it is a self-designed microscope which was designed obviously by Robert Hooke. So he has seen that, and he then explained he said about that of the cell, and the same thing he has written in his book, that is Micrographia. Okay, so what we have to understand here, that while working with the thin slice of a cork, he observed cell. So he was the first person who observed cell and who has given the name cell, and then cell in a Latin word that is called as a little room. Then Anton von Leeuwenhoek. That is Leeuwenhoek. Anton von Leeuwenhoek. So he was a Dutch microscopist, and he have discovered, you can say, a living cell. So the first living cell he observed, he find out that was a sperm. And then he started working on it, and he found the sperm cell of a human, of a dog, of a rabbit, and first of all he improved a microscope and then he saw the cell. Okay, so the first thing that we can write it here, that made an improved microscope. Made an improved microscope, and after making this microscope, using this microscope in discovering a free living cell in pond. Okay. He discovered sperm cell. So the cell that he found, the living cell that he had discovered for the first time in a pond, in pond water, that was the sperm cell, and he started working on it, and finally he discovered the sperm cells of a human, rats, rabbit, dog, fish, insects. So he discovered all the sperm cells of these animals. So first of all, Robert Hooke he worked, and then Anton von Leeuwenhoek he have seen that of a living cell. So here he has seen the dead cell, and then the Anton von Leeuwenhoek has seen the living cell. Now here one more thing is, student, that the Robert Hooke he has discovered only the dead cell. He have seen the outer compartment. Okay. But if we talk about another scientist was there, and his name was Robert Brown. So Robert Brown was the first person who discovered the nucleus, who said that a cell consisting of a nucleus also. So Robert Brown discovered nucleus in a cell. So he discovered this nucleus, and he has named also the nucleus. Okay. Then another scientist is there, students. That was J. Purkinje. J. Purkinje. So J. Purkinje, he has discussed about that of the protoplasm. What is the protoplasm? The living thing, so the fluid which is present inside to that of the cell, that is called a protoplasm. We will talk about this term later on. Let me tell you that J. Purkinje was a person who has discovered about protoplasm. Okay, so protoplasm, it means he actually has given the name protoplasm, the material which is present inside to the cell. Okay. Named protoplasm of the fluid present inside the cell. Present inside the cell. Then another, Haeckel. Haeckel was another scientist who discovered about that of the, who discovered and who, you can say, who has established that okay, Robert Brown has explained about the nucleus, but this nucleus is consisting of the genetic material. And these genetic material, it used to get transmitted, means it is what? It is a kind of a hereditary transmission that occur in which the genes get transmitted. This is consisting of that material which used to get transmitted from generation to generation. So this was informed by that of the Haeckel. So we can say he established that nucleus consisting of genetic material which helps in which get transmitted Okay, so it gets transmitted from generation to generation. This was about the J. Purkinje. This was about the Haeckel. Okay, then J. Purkinje and Robert Brown. Let me remind you again that what we have studied. The first thing, the discovery of the cell, how all these things get discovered. There are a lot more students that you are going to study in the higher class, in class 11th. Till that you should know that the first cell, the term cell, is given by Robert Hooke, and it was discovered by Robert Hooke, and he while he was working with a thin slice of a cork, so he discovered a dead cell, and when he have taken that the slice of the cork and see it into a self-designed microscope, he found that there are a teeny compartment, teeny rooms are there, and because of that he has given the name to it, and that is cell. Later on, Anton von Leeuwenhoek is there, so he worked on a living cell by improving his microscope, and finally he found a sperm cell, and he also discovered the human sperm cell, the rabbit or of a frog or fishes or insects. So he worked on all these kind of sperm cells. If we talk about the Robert Brown, so Robert Brown explained that a cell does not only consisting of it is not only made up of a compartment, but yes, it consisting of another thing in the center, and that is called the nucleus. Haeckel was the person who said that the nucleus consisting of a genetic material, and these genetic material used to get transmitted from one person to another through generation to generation. And finally, this is J. Purkinje. He explained that whatever the fluid which is present inside to the cell, that we use a term for it called as a protoplasm. Okay, so this was the basic things that we have seen in the discovery of the cell. Now, there is another thing that occurred, that was a cell theory. What is a cell theory? So before that, let me tell you, there was a German botanist and a German zoologist. German botanist name was J. Schilden. So Schilden was the person who was working on a plant cell. Okay, and Swan was a person who was working on the animals, and he has given the information that is related to the animals. So this German botanist Schilden was working on a plant cell, so he has given some of the postulates, and even in the animal, in that of the Swan, the German zoologist Swan has also given the postulate related to the animals. Related to the cells present in the animals, and both of them have said that plants are made up of a small unit, and that is called plant cell, and animal is also made up of, Swan has given that animal is also made up of a small unit, and that is called cell. So they are working independently, they are working at different areas, but they found the one thing common, that even in the plant or in the animal, both of them is made up of a small unit, that is called as a cell. Okay, so both of them was working in a different ways. Now later on, it was R. Virchow who said that every organism is made up of a cell and they used to come from a pre-existing cell. So he used a term for it, that is omnicellular cellulare. It means the pre-existing cell means all the new cell is developed. It comes from that of the pre-existing cell. And together, by taking the postulates, the cell theory came. And cell theory is having some postulate, and it is important because the question can be asked related to the cell theory. So let us write it. So first of all, we will write it that a German botanist Jacob Schilden. Jacob Schilden said that all plants are made up of cells. So he was working independently, and then came the Theodore Swan. So he also said that all the plants and animals consisting of cells. So both of them had given the same thing, that every organism is made up of a cell. So he was a zoologist, he was a botanist. And this joint theory that is given by Schilden and Swan, that when we will combine them, we will join them, we find a theory that is related to the cell, and which we called as a cell theory, which was later improved by R. Virchow. So he said that all cells arises from the pre-existing cells. Use a term for it, and that is omnis cellular cellulare. So it was given by him, that is omnicellular means all the cell arises from the pre-existing cell. So these all things collectively form the theory, and that theory is known as the cell theory. Let us see that what are the different postulates of the cell theory. Postulates of cell theory. The theory was given by them, so collectively this is the cell theory. So the first point in case of the cell theory, that is all organism, because this was also given by Schilden, it was also given by that of Swan, and that all the organism is made up of a cell, the small unit that is called as cell. So all the organisms are composed of cell and cell product and cell products. Okay, all organisms are composed of cell or cell product. Now, You see that every metabolic, the second postulates of a cell theory, that every metabolic process, every metabolic reaction take place inside the cell, and it is because of that the cell is the structural and functional unit of a living organisms. So all the metabolic reactions takes place in cell. So cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Structural and functional unit of life. Okay. So every metabolic reactions take place in the cell, and due to which it is the structural and functional unit. Next is that all the cells existing arises through the pre-existing cells. So all the cells which is coming out, which is existing, that occurs through that of the pre-existing cells. Now, finally, that every cell, I am writing the fourth one here, that is every cell, every organism started its life with a single cell. Okay, then that cell will get divided and form the multicellular. Even in the, you know that in case of a human being, it is a zygote formation, and that in a multicellular organism, there is a zygote formation which is a single cell, and that single cell will divide into the multicell. So every organisms started with the single cell. Okay, this is the fourth one. So these are some of the postulates of the cell theory, that every organisms, they are made up of a cell and that of the cell product, it means the cell organelles. Then whatever the metabolic reactions there occur in a living organism, it actually takes place in the cell, and it is because of that the cell is responsible for giving the rise to the other cell, and finally formation of an organ system and a living organism. So it is the cell which used to perform the basic metabolic functions, basic metabolic reactions, and thus help in making a living organism. So all the metabolic reaction take place in the cell, and cell, thus it is the structural and functional unit of a life. Then every cell which is existing, it arises from the pre-existing cells. And finally, every organism, whether it is a uni or it is a multi, will always start its life with a single cell. So it always started with a single cell, you can say. This single cell will divide further, and there is a formation of a multicellular organism. That is okay. So this is about that of the cell theory. Now before we go further, student, this was a postulate. Before we go further, let us see few terms which is important to understand the next topic. So let me tell you that the first thing that here came, student, that J. Purkinje, he has discovered protoplasm. And let us see that what is a protoplasm actually. So I told you that the fluid consisting inside the plasma membrane, the fluid is known as the protoplasm. Basically, when we talk about the protoplasm, we are talking about the nucleus and the cytoplasm. And even in the nucleus also nucleoplasm is there. So, sorry, protoplasm is the combination of both of the liquid, and that is why we said that it is the fluid present in the cell, because in the cell nucleus is present, in the nucleus nucleoplasm is present, cytoplasm is the fluid which is present in that of the cell. So in a simple term we can understand that protoplasm is what? It's a combination of a cytoplasm and nucleus. We will study about the nucleoplasm later on, but till then we will try to understand that protoplasm is the both thing, that is cytoplasm and nucleus. The content of a living cells which contained with plasma membrane, it forms protoplasm. In a simple term we can say nucleus plus cytoplasm. So nucleus plus cytoplasm is what? It is protoplasm. So whenever this term will come, what is protoplasm? You will say that it is actually the fluid which is present inside it. The content of the living cell is the protoplasm, or we can say the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Actually, even in the nucleus a fluid is present, that is nucleoplasm. So nucleoplasm and cytoplasm constitute the protoplasm, but in a simple way we can understand the nucleus and cytoplasm. Then the next one is the gene. Gene is a heredity unit which gets transmitted from the parents to that of the offspring. So they used to carry the genetic information. Actually, what happened? Gene is that unit which consisting of the coded information of the characters of their parents. So these coded informations, they get transmitted from the parents to the progeny. Progeny, it means to the child. Okay, so gene is what? It is the unit, heredity unit. So we can write it that it is a heredity which is a hereditary unit, carries the information of the characteristic of their parents, in the form of code, and get transmitted from parents to offspring. So basically the role of the gene, that it used to carry the information in the form of the characteristics, and means they used the form in a coded word. So they used to carry the information of the characteristic of the parent in the form of a code. So it's a kind of a code which used to carry the information, and this code consisting of the characteristic, consisting of the genetic information, get transmitted from parents to the offspring. If you are talking about the gene, students, so there is another term that you have heard is DNA and RNA. DNA and RNA. What is the DNA? DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, which is what? A polymer of nucleic acid. Okay. Then the next one is RNA. RNA is ribonucleic acid. Ribonucleic acid. This is also a polymer. A polymeric nucleic acid. Okay. So these are the few terms of which is related to that of the cell.